Hi class. So in this video, we are going to discuss how you find cause and effect in a reading. So the first thing you need to do to find cause and effect in a reading is find something in the reading that has changed over time. So the very first thing you want to do is find change over time. That's why we spent so much time drilling that skill, okay? So let's take a look at an example. So I have a reading here. This is just going to be part of a reading that is about the Harry Potter book series. And it has a pretty clear example of cause and effect. So we're going to look at this section called Changing Attitudes. And first I will read it out loud for you. The Harry Potter books could be able to change how children feel. In the books, Harry often meets people who are treated badly because they are different. Wizards sometimes mistreat people who cannot use magic. Wizards and witches who have only one magical parent are also treated unfairly. A group of scientists decided to find out if the Harry Potter books can change how children feel about people who are different from themselves. They wrote about their discoveries in a magazine for scientists. The group was led by Loris Fazeli, a professor at a university in Italy. The scientists asked 34 children how they felt about immigrants. Immigrants are people who move from one country to another. Some people in Italy do not like immigrants and treat them unfairly. Next, the scientists divided the children into two groups. Both groups read passages from the Harry Potter books. One group read passages about people being treated badly because they were different. The other group read passages that were not about young people being mistreated. Later, the scientists again asked the children how they felt about immigrants. The children who had read about people being treated badly liked immigrants more than they did before. The children who did not read about people being treated badly felt the same as they did before. Okay, so we have a passage here, and a couple things are happening. Basically, some scientists are doing an experiment, right? And they are trying to see if reading certain passages from the Harry Potter books actually changes how children think about people who might be different. And in this case, they're using immigrants as that example. Okay, so the first thing we need to figure out is there anything that changed over this time? I mean, the scientists do their experiment, some things are happening. Italian people apparently don't like immigrants very not much. That's not cool, okay? Um, but our scientist guys, they do find something. Okay, they're able to make some sort of change happen. And we find that down here. Okay, so the group that read passages about people treated badly because they were different, well, those same people ended up liking immigrants more than they did before. So we can see some change over time. The attitudes of these children, of these kids, is changing based on something that the scientists are doing. Great. So we've done step one. We've found an example of change over time. Okay. So what do we need to do next? Well, now that we have a change, we know a couple things. We know the way things were before the change. So before the change, the children did not maybe had bad attitudes or negative attitudes toward immigrants. We also know the way things were after the change, and the way that's the children after the change, they like immigrants more, right? So the way things were after the change is they have better attitudes, they have more positive attitudes toward immigrants. Okay, so we have our two pieces. We have a before and after in the reading. Okay, so now what? Well, to find cause and effect, we need to look for the link between these two events. So we need to look for the link between the children maybe having negative attitudes toward immigrants versus now having better attitudes. Okay, so let's go back to our reading. Well, what's the link? Okay, obviously this reading's about Harry Potter, so probably it has something to do with that. But let's actually take a look at this paragraph where they really describe that change. So I'm going to reread it quick. Next, the scientists divided the children into two groups. Both groups read passages from the Harry Potter books. One group read passages about people being treated badly because they were different. The other group read passages that were not about people being mistreated. Later, the scientists again asked the children how they felt about immigrants. The children who had read about people being treated badly liked immigrants more than they did before. Okay, well, so there we have our link, right? The children who had read about people being treated badly liked immigrants more than they did before. That's going to be a link between our before and our after, or our cause and effect, okay? So Couple questions to ask yourself. Did something happen between that explains the change? Yes, right? The children had read passages about people being treated badly for being different, okay? Did the way things were lead directly to the change? Well, in this case, not really, right? Sometimes when we talk about cause and effect, it's just a direct result of things that were happening before. In this case, though, there's a clear link in between. So we're actually, in this case, going to be focused on question number 1. But I put question number 2 in here because sometimes that's important. Okay, sometimes it happens directly from the event that happened before in what we would call like a causal chain. In this case, though, we just have a link between the two sides of the change, and that's what's going to be our cause and effect. Okay. So the way things are after the change will always be the effect. So you found your change, right? In this case, the children have better attitudes toward immigrants. Okay. Well, in this case, that is the effect. Okay. The event that explains the change, whatever that is, that then is the cause. And the event that explains the change for us, again, is going to be that the children read these passages about people being mistreated in the Harry Potter books. Awesome. We have our cause, we have our effect. So then real quick, I'm just going to show you this form. This is the form that we're going to use for finding cause and effect. Get used to seeing this because you will see it a lot in our assessments when we go to do our assessment for Standard 4. Okay. I'm actually going to start with the effect. I think sometimes it's easier to start out with the effect. Hang on, I need to move my text. There we go. So the effect in this case is that the children have better attitudes. I'm a terrible speller, guys. Toward immigrants. Okay. That's our effect. And we know that from the reading. So the children who had read about people being treated badly, they liked immigrants more than they did before. Okay. So we might even say that they liked immigrants more than before. Okay. So then what's our cause? Well, our cause in this case is pretty simple. The children read passages from Harry Potter about people being treated differently, or badly, rather, for being different. Okay. So they read those passages. That's the cause. The change in their attitude toward immigrants, that's the effect. Okay. So it's actually pretty simple, guys. I don't think that cause and effect is all that hard. I feel like you guys really get it for the most part, but I just wanted to make sure that we were modeling this and that everyone could see what this looks like. And when you're doing your assessment, guys, this is what I expect. I expect that you're using the source directly, like we did here. So I use the reading directly, and that you're filling out both the cause and the effect in complete sentences. That's very important as well. Okay. So in a little bit, guys, you are going to be practicing this. That's your next step on your playlist today. When you practice this, I will give you either the cause or the effect, and you just have to fill in the other side. When we do our final assessment, though, you will have to fill in both sides. But for now, for practice, you're only going to have to do one side or the other. Otherwise, guys, go ahead and move on to the next step on your playlist, and I hope we're having a great class.